The AI revolution is here, and it's incredible. But it runs on something kind of old school, massive, and I mean massive amounts of electricity. Today, we're going to dive into the colossal industrial race to power our AI future, and it pits two titans against each other, Siemens Energy and GE Vernova. Let's see what's really at stake. Think of this as the engine room of the 21st century. And the wild thing is, its most crucial fuel is just pure, raw power. The AI revolution has this absolutely voracious appetite. And this is the story of the giants trying to feed it. All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll set the stage with the new power play. Then, we'll get into the AI supercycle that's just throwing gasoline on the fire. We'll see how these titans are facing off, each taking a really different path to dominance. Then, we'll crunch the numbers in a financial showdown. And finally, look at the high-stakes race ahead. Okay, first up, the new power play. So to really get what's happening, we have to look at what the world's hunger for power looked like before AI even entered the chat. And the scale here, it's just mind-boggling. In 2025 alone, the world is set to invest an estimated 1.3 times trillion euros in power generation and grids. This is the massive playground these two industrial giants are competing in. And check this out, this number really tells the story. In 2025, the demand for electricity grew twice as fast as the demand for energy overall. We're electrifying everything, our cars, our industries, and, well, that was just the warm-up act. Because now, layered right on top of that already growing demand, you have the AI supercycle, a surge so big it's forcing everyone to just rip up their old forecast. You don't have to take my word for it. GE Vernova's own management puts it perfectly. This isn't some flash in the pan. They call it a supercycle for a reason. Building out this kind of infrastructure takes years, even decades. It locks in demand and becomes this fundamental engine for economic growth. So where's all this new demand coming from? Well, take a look at this chart. In advanced economies, sure, buildings and manufacturing are huge. But look at that new slice of the pie, data centers. They're projected to make up 15% of new grid investment. A few years ago, that number was practically zero. And for the companies actually building this stuff, this translates into just explosive growth. Siemens Energy is expecting its orders directly from data centers to quadruple, 4x, by fiscal year 2028. That's the supercycle right there in one number. Okay, so who's actually capturing this demand? It's time to meet the contenders. Let's talk about the Titans face-off, the absolute giants of energy technology. So in one corner, you've got the newly independent American giant, GE Vernova, a company literally built from the ground up to electrify and decarbonize the world. And in the other corner, the German engineering powerhouse Siemens Energy, a global leader in pretty much everything from power generation to the grid itself. So this all leads us to the central question, right? In this totally new, high-stakes game, how are these two dominant players changing their strategies to grab this massive opportunity? Because as we're about to see, they are definitely not taking the same path. And that brings us to their two paths to dominance. This is where we get to explore their really different corporate philosophies. It's fascinating stuff. You can pretty much boil it down to the simple contrast. Siemens Energy really embodies what you might call a German deep tech approach. It's all about technology differentiation and providing these complete, integrated solutions. On the other hand, GE Vernova represents American lean. They're all about standardized, high-volume, workhorse products and just being incredibly efficient. Okay, now let's break this down because this is where you really see their different DNA come to life. In gas power, Siemens is leveraging its #1 market share to provide that super reliable, constant baseload power the grid always needs. GE Vernova, though, they're focused on what's called dispatchable power, the kind you can turn on and off quickly. And they're embedding themselves directly with the big data center customers who desperately need that flexibility. In grid tech, Siemens offers these complex end-to-end solutions. Think high-voltage direct current for moving power over long distances. Meanwhile, GE is all about scaling up the core stuff, like transformers and switchgear. Even in wind, you see the split. Siemens is on a big master plan to fix quality issues, while GE is just doubling down on its most reliable, tried-and-true workhorse turbine models. All right, a strategy on paper is one thing, but what about the results? Let's move on to the financial showdown and see how these different approaches are actually translating to performance and, profit. So right off the bat, if we look at key profitability for fiscal year 2025, you can see GE Vernova's lean approach seems to be paying off right now with a higher margin, around 8.5% compared to Siemens Energy's 6.0%. But hold on, margins aren't the whole story, not even close. Siemens Energy is showing some incredible forward momentum. They have a historic order backlog of 138 billion euros and really strong revenue growth. GE Vernova, meanwhile, is laser-focused on generating cash. They're aiming for a massive $22 billion in cumulative free cash flow by 2028. It's pretty clear they're both financial powerhouses. They just have different priorities.
And both of them are flexing their financial muscles to build confidence with investors. Siemens Energy brought back its dividend after paying back government guarantees early. That is a huge signal of stability. GE Vernova, on the other hand, came out swinging with a super aggressive $10 billion share buyback program. So you have two very different but equally powerful signals to the market.
So after all that, where does this leave us? Let's look at the race ahead and ask the big question. Which strategy is actually going to win? This timeline is basically our roadmap for the next few years. These are the key milestones to watch. By 2026, we'll see if Siemens can get its troubled wind division to finally break even. By 2028, we'll know if GE hits those ambitious margin and cash flow goals, and if Siemens can more than double its own profit margin. And looking out to 2030, both are aiming to be carbon neutral in their own operations, which adds this whole other environmental dimension to this massive industrial race. And really, it all comes down to this. As the absolutely insatiable energy demands of AI continue to reshape our entire world, which strategy is going to win out? Will it be Siemens' German deep tech approach of total integration, or will it be GE's American lean model of focused scale? The race is on, and it's going to be fascinating to watch. Now, this has obviously been a pretty high-level look based on our analysis. If you want a much deeper dive into the market research and the data behind all this, you can always contact the team at HDIN Research. Thanks for digging into this with us. It's a huge topic and it's only getting bigger. We'll see you next time.